Well, the kids are in school, so we are officially back, and we are celebrating our 100th trip with this lovely car right here. So today, I want to tell you about what has happened over the course of its 100 trips, the weird quirks of this car, and why I think it is a really good rental for you to have on the platform and why it's been good for us. Let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So here is my 2019 Jeep Renegade, and this car officially has hit 100 trips on Turo, and it has been quite an experience. It's been mostly good. There have been some weird things that have happened along the way, so I'll get into some of that, and I want to talk about why this particular Jeep is a pretty fun one, which is weird to say about a Renegade, but it is actually a pretty fun car. So the first question is, how well did this car do on the platform? It actually did really well. We listed it in October of 2021, and it was part of a celebration for me first achieving all-star host on Turo. And we specifically looked for this car, and there was a specific reason why I picked this one. And I'll get into that here in a little bit. But it has all of the creature comforts that you would want in a car, and it turned out really well. It has been a hit every single time that I have had it listed each month, and it is continuing to do well even today. So let's take a walk around the car and let's take a look at a few things, and I want to show you some of the stuff that has happened to the car over the course of its past few rentals. So the car is a little bit dirty. It did just come back from a rental. We actually just cleaned the interior, so the inside is in pretty good shape, but it has all of the typical things that you would see on a car that has had this many rentals. There are a lot of scratches along the trim pieces and along the sides of the seats, and just, you know, a little bit of overall kind of just regular wear and tear. There are a few scratches also inside the door here, so it definitely has had its fair share of use during its last 100 trips. Now, some of the things that I've found to be extremely weird about this car, something that I've talked about before, the cabin air filter is an absolute joke to change. You have to undo probably 10 bolts in order to just remove the whole glove box. Not just open it and then pull it down. You literally have to remove the entire housing in order to get to the cabin air filter just to replace it. The wipers, now, granted, I haven't replaced wipers on every single car, but this one in particular is the first one that doesn't just have the traditional hook that I've dealt with on many other cars. This one has a special design where I actually had to look in the instructions for the wipers in order to properly place them on the car. So definitely some weirdness that is this brand, you know, Fiat, Jeep, call it what you will. It has had 4 new tires placed on it since we got the car. This car has had, in a span of 2 years, it's had over 50,000 miles put on it, so it has been driven quite a bit. There were a lot of local renters that were doing a lot of driving with this car initially, but we have actually tamed a lot of that down, and a lot of it is airport traffic, so they are not putting nearly as many miles. It's been pretty much staying stagnant in the same spot of where it's at. So the car does have 4 brand new tires. It does have front brakes. We replaced those, the rotors and the brakes. It's eventually going to be needing rear brakes, but we're not quite there just yet. But that is another project that is going to be on the books for something that needs to be done on the car. But by far the biggest expense is what happened on the outside of the car, so I want to show you what happened. Now, I shared this in a YouTube short, but there was a problem with the seals here, where the windows were starting to raise up so high that it was pressing the rubber piece up and it was separating it from here. So we still have a little bit of evidence of it over here on the passenger side. Now, this is a brand new piece, and you can still see that the window is raising up too high. So we're gonna have to get this window realigned so that it will raise up and stop where it's supposed to stop and not do this, because it is then in turn pushing this out, and what will eventually happen is the rubber is going to start failing, and we will start having the window push up so bad that when we go to shut the door, I don't believe it does it now, but before, when I would shut the door, you actually would see the glass pop out. So it has improved a little bit, but it's not quite where I need it to be. We did ceramic coat this car last year and it has held up pretty well. The water does bead pretty well on the paint. Thankfully, the wheels have held up very well over time as well. Nobody has caused any major damage to it. Now, one thing that I suspect, and something that you may want to look into if you are listing cars on Turo, is if you have a car that has a trailer hitch, then you may want to get something that is going to close off the trailer hitch from being used, because we do suspect that maybe this car was used to tow things from time to time, and we finally just put on this hitch safe a few months ago, and we no longer hear anything. But towing is not allowed on Turo by any means. You do want to be careful about that, because that can overall affect your vehicle negatively, in that you are now increasing a lot of weight on the car, and people are going to tend to not care about what they're towing. So something to keep in mind. Now, moving on into the car, I got this car when it had about 16,000 miles on it. It does have around 68,000 miles on the clock here. So it has gone through its fair share of use as far as the mileage, as I mentioned earlier, but it is in very good shape. We have all of the creature comforts that you would want in a car of this size. This does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that part is nice, and automatic climate control as well. So you can control, it's actually dual zone, so you can control both the driver and the passenger. This does not come with navigation, but because it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a lot of people that want to connect their phones to be able to show the maps they want to show, then they can definitely do that. It also automatically turns the headlights and fog lights on at night, so that is also a nice feature, so you don't have to worry about that when you get into the car. Now, a couple of things that I actually had to fix on this car. Somebody hit something with this turn signal, and we ended up having to replace it. I have a couple of YouTube shorts with this process, but basically what happened was I purchased an eBay turn signal, and rather than keeping the OEM wiring, I decided to unplug the existing wiring and put in the eBay wiring, which was a terrible mistake, and the bulb melted inside the housing. And so we ended up having to buy an OEM one, and this has held up just fine ever since. And the only other thing that I've had to do on this car was the third brake light did start getting condensation, and there was a point when the red was actually peeling off. So we purchased a new one and replaced it completely. That was not without some learning. So when you open this trunk, you can hear some rattling in there, and a lot of that is due to the third brake light. We had to basically remove all of the struts that hold the trunk up, and we had to remove the rubber grommets. We had to remove a lot of stuff in order to get to that third brake light. But it has held up very well, and we have not seen any condensation in here since we replaced it a couple of years ago. And while all those features are really nice, and a lot of the things that we've done to the car are nice to keep maintaining this car, that is not the one reason that I picked this particular Jeep Renegade. Let me show you why I picked this one in particular. Now, if you search for a Jeep Renegade right now, if you're looking for one for sale, not that many people want to be searching for Jeep Renegades, but if you search for one, a lot of them are either going to come with a traditional roof, or they are going to come with the dual pane panoramic sunroof, and it only opens the front roof. This one is a little bit different. This one has what's called the My Sky sunroof panels. So these are actually removable panels that you can take off of the car and basically be able to drive this car with these two panels removed and placed right in the trunk. So let me show you how it works. So again, this equipment already came with the car, so I really loved it when I first saw it. So if you open the trunk and go into this bag right here, you can grab this key, which of course looks like a Jeep, and you get into the car. And when you want to take this out, you just take the, you'll see where it says unlock and it tells you the direction to turn it. You just stick the key right inside there and you turn it. And this comes out, you'll pull it back. And you're gonna do the same in the back as well. Put the key right into the opening here, turn it, the handle comes out. And you just take the panel and you can put it right inside this bag, right in the trunk. It's already configured just for it. And there you go. You have a car with open My Sky panels. I'm gonna be sitting in here driving my Jeep and I just have nothing but open sky up above me, and it is a really, really nice feeling. So I mean, it is similar to the Freedom panels, but it is a beautiful setup. And when you are ready, you basically just place those panels right back in there and you clasp the handle and it puts it right back in place. So far, I've only been able to find one car that matched the spec of what I was looking for, and it has those My Sky panels, but it was a manual transmission. It is a very hard car to find as far as those particular panels. Again, as I mentioned, most of them are either going to have the straight roof with no moonroof whatsoever, or they have the glass moonroof, which you can basically get that in any other car, so why would you bother getting it in a Renegade? I think this gives it some sort of uniqueness, some sort of special reason to want to drive this car, and I personally enjoy driving it when those panels are off. I don't get to enjoy it often, but a lot of my renters do, and that is the most important part for this business, is that I am getting cars that I know that our renters are going to enjoy. So what is next for this car? We're probably gonna work on those rear brakes, as I mentioned, and this car will basically be set for quite a while. Now that is gonna do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing if you enjoy where this business is going, because we are going nowhere but up from here. If you are looking for a car in Jacksonville, visit AchooRentals.com. We have everything from small compact cars to funny little Jeeps that have some interesting, unique flavors to it. And we have beautiful giant minivans. Hope you have a great day, everybody.